Hi guys, welcome back to another weekly recap. As you can see, this was how we ended up the week. Ended up the week with about $39. And this month, we're finally done. You can see we had 106 percentage win. We had 194 profit. But last week, I said last week, last month, we ended up in -4. Minus the $11 we ended up withdrawing from this month. So let's just say about $15 were in Jordan of $15 coming into this month. So just say 197 minus 15, which a account is currently sitting at $381. As you guys already know, we started this account with $200, and this is already the next month, and we're already up over 50% or over 70%. All right. So I'm gonna break down the trades we've taken out this week. So starting with Monday. Monday we had a $20 win when it's supposed to be a $30 win or $35 win, which you can see right here. So I'm gonna break down the trade I ended up taking on Monday. So on Monday, you guys already know the strategy I take, the BRC, which is a break, retest, and conviction. And by the way, if you guys want to take the same trades I take every time, you guys can join the Discord. The link is in the description below. And if you also want to use the indicator I'm using, you can also join the Discord. The link is right there. So like I said, mark out the high and low, wait for a break and retest. We tap into the midpoint here. So I'm looking for a new break and retest, another break and retest. We tap into the midpoint. So I'm looking for a new break and retest. You notice you have to keep looking for a new break and retest if the previous retest was already tapped into the midpoint or past the midpoint. So right here, we have a clean break and we have a retest. This is a clean retest because we didn't tap into the midpoint. So all I'm doing is going to the 1 minute time frame. I'm waiting to see if we have a down close candle in the direction of where we're looking to trade. So right here, we have a down close candle. This is where I'm taking my sell trade, stop loss at the retest high, and then I'm going for a clean 1 to 2 risk reward. You guys can already see that was the same trade I took right here. Clean 1 to 2 risk reward, stop loss at the high, entry point at the down close candle, and then I went for a 1 to 2 risk reward. You guys can already see here too. This was after the retrace happened. So yeah, I ended up closing for about $20, even if I was supposed to close for about 35. So again, I guess it was the spread of the broker that I'm using. And I ended up adjusting this $18 to about $20. I ended up closing about $20 instead of $35. I ended up missing out on $15 extra just because of the spread. This happened to me about last week Wednesday or last 2 weeks Wednesday, where TP got hit and then it reverses. But yeah, that's how we were able to close the trade for that day with $20. So coming into tomorrow or coming into the next day, which was on Tuesday, we ended up taking a trade, right? And I'm gonna break it down for you guys. So this was a trade right here I ended up taking on Tuesday. So same stuff, mark out the high, mark out the low, wait for a break and retest. Right here we have the break and we had the retest. All I'm doing is going to the 1 minute time frame. If I'm looking for an up close candle, right here, this actually, this is where this candle closed right here. The candle closed right here. So I ended up entering right here, putting my stops at the retest. But unfortunately, we ended up getting stopped out. So after we got stopped out, I ended up waiting again to see if we can look for a good trade. And right here, going to the 5 minute time frame again. By the way, I wouldn't really advise you taking more than one trade per day, but just because I felt like, price could still go to the downside because I felt like I went against the bias. Because notice how we're all the way going to the downside. So I was like, okay, maybe price doesn't want to keep going to the upside. Maybe we want to go to the downside. So right here we had a break and retest, but we tap into the midpoint. So I'm looking for a new break and retest. So here we had the break, retest, and then after the break and retest, I'm going to the 1 minute time frame to look for a down close candle in the direction in which we're looking to trade in. So here we had a down close candle, put my entry right there, stop loss at the high. But this time I ended up just going for the 1 to 1 risk reward because I ended up seeing a lot of a lot of rejections off of this level. So I felt like this was a good support level here. So we had a bounce here, we had a bounce here, bounce here, bounce here. So I was like, all right, we might not be able to go to a 1 to 2 risk reward because we had a lot of areas where people are buying off of. So I just told the Discord group or the Discord members to close at the 1 to 1 risk reward. Let me show you all the screenshot, which was right here the next day. So as you can see here, I said I was going in for another one, waiting for a sell trade right there after the first loss, and then I ended up telling them to close for 1 to 1. But anyways, I still ended up losing this trade. That was because I actually did some mistakes on my account, and yeah, but at the same time, we were able to cover for some losses. I was actually down $17, so I was able to cover for like $7 after the initial loss in the first time. But I'm sure most of the members should have covered up for the losses since it was a one-to-one risk to reward. And yeah, so that's how we ended up with a -$11 on Tuesday. So on Wednesday, this was actually the first Wednesday we actually ended up taking the trade using this strategy. So Wednesday was a $27 win, which was a good winning day. And yeah, so same stuff, same thing, same repeatable stuff that we do every single day. On the 5 minute time frame, wait for the first 5 minute candle to form after market open, which is right here at 9:30, marking out the high, marking out the low. We had a break here, we had a retest. Okay, so now I'm going to explain why I ended up taking my trade right here instead of right here. So notice how we had a break and retest, right? But this retest, in my opinion, even if we didn't tap into the midpoint, in my opinion, I feel like we had too much of a retest or a retracement. So I was like, you know what? I will wait for a new break and retest on the 1 minute time frame. And that's exactly what I did. So I went to the 1 minute time frame, I waited for a new break and retest, right? So we had a break. Notice how we had this break and we had the retest. So instead of us keep pushing, I know I would have entered right here, right? This would have been a good area to enter. But I waited for this 10 o'clock candle to close. So right here, if you notice, the candle closed right here. So this was where I entered, not here. I just felt like entering right here because it gave me more confirmation on the 1 minute time frame. I didn't want to enter, break, retest, and conviction enter right here because I just felt like we had too much of a retracement, especially when I'm now going against the trend, which was the trade with the mistake I took yesterday. Ended up going against the trend. Notice how we're down. We're in the downtrend, and I'm looking for buys. So I needed to be more like, you know, I needed to see more confirmations in order for me to take a trade against the trend. So I ended up taking my trade at the close of this 5 minute candle here. Stop loss at the retest. If you go to the 1 minute time frame, you're gonna see that was the retest where my stop loss was at, which was right here. That was where the retest was, and then I also went for a clean 1 to 2 risk to reward. As you can see right there, a clean 1 to 2 was hit. So entry right there, as you can see, TP got hit for a 1 to 2, and after that, we can see the reversal, most likely because we tapped into this level of sellers. So yeah, that was the trade we took on Wednesday, and ended up closing out for a $27 win. And yesterday, I had a $3 win. So yesterday was actually kind of an annoying day, but it was still my fault that I closed out for about $3, and I'll explain why. So, same stuff. This Thursday, first 5 minute candle, mark out the high, mark out the low, wait for a break and retest. This was the fastest break and retest we've seen. We had a break, retest right here, going to the 1 minute time frame. As you can see, we had a down close candle, enter right there, stop loss at the high, at the retest, and then go for a clean 1 to 2 risk reward. So this is what happened. Okay, when price, if I'm gonna see if I can do this right here. So look at how close we were to TP, right? So as price was playing out, I was like, okay, it seems we might start reversing right here. And I was actually scared. I felt like I had a good reason to be scared. That's because I've looked at this area here and I was like, look, this is giving a level where a lot of people were buying initially. And we already tapped into that level. So I'm looking at it like we might actually reverse, by the way. Like we might actually reverse. Because look right here, even though I extended, look at how we had a lot of people buying here, buying here, buying here, buying here. Even Wednesday, we had a lot of people buying here. So we have a lot of like reactions off of this level. So we also tapped into that level. So I was like, wait, we might actually reverse on this trade. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna put my stop loss right here. So I ended up putting my stop loss somewhere right here. I really don't remember where I put my stop loss. Let me see if I can get it from the group. All right. So I told them I already sent a screenshot that I was entering, and then my stop loss at break even, which was what I did. You can see $3 right there. Stop loss at break even, and yeah. So my stop loss at break even, we ended up getting stopped out right there. And after some few minutes, we ended up hitting TP. So got stopped at break even for about $3, and then TP got hit. So what I said was, God stopped our break even with a little profit on top, and this happened. I guess we just have to stick to the habit of not touching our trades when we're in them. And that's what I decided to start doing. And yeah, so that's how we're able to close that week or close that day, which was yesterday, with a $3 win, even though it was actually a $35 win. Today, there wasn't any trade, and that was because we only had a break, but we never had no retest. So, same thing in 5 minute time frame. We had a huge push to the upside, making all time highs right there. Marked out the high, marked out the low. Notice how we had a break. We had a little bit of retracement here, but we didn't tap into the range. I have to stick to the rule. And then we ended up having an explosion to the upside. We came once again, but we didn't tap into the into the range. And we also have another huge explosion to the upside. Well, it is what it is. Yeah, we'll just call it a day. So yeah, like I said, I was going to show you guys me withdrawing out of this account. So as you can see here, I'm going to withdraw. So how much am I withdrawing again? 19.08. Yeah. So by the way, I'm in Nigeria, so it's gonna swap into the current currency I'm using. That's 19.08. That's like 24,000 or 23,000, I guess. Oh, 26,000. Oh, that's not bad. So yeah, I'm going to be withdrawing it. Make sure I'm correct. Yeah, 26,000 is what I want to withdraw. Okay. Action confirmed. So yeah, real history. You guys might see the history of last month, or I've already received a notification of it processing on my phone. Well, oh yeah, it's already sent. It's already sent. So you guys already seen it. Let it not look like, oh, it's trading a demo account. Obviously, why would I be trading a demo account and use $200? So you guys already seen it. The money has been sent. And yeah. So that'll be basically it. This week was actually an okay week, but we would have done way much better. But we keep learning every day, and we keep learning every week. Right now, the account should be about 300 and something, I guess, 362. Yeah, so we need about $40 to double the account, basically. Yesterday would have doubled the account calmly, because the account was on 370 something. So with $35 extra, we would have obviously doubled the account. But yeah, it is what it is. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace.